Every tenant in the District of Columbia has the right to live in a clean, safe, and sanitary accommodation. Tenants can file a complaint to enforce the housing code if their landlord does not make necessary repairs to bring the rental unit and/or the common areas of the housing accommodation into compliance with the DC housing regulations within a reasonable time frame. Complaints to enforce the housing code are filed in the Housing Conditions Calendar, nicknamed Fix-It Court. The Housing Conditions Calendar is a court of limited jurisdiction that specializes in actions to enforce the District of Columbia's Housing Code regulations, 14 DCMR sections 500 through 900, and the Property Maintenance Code, DCMR Title 12G. The HCC judge may order the landlord to make repairs to the tenant's unit and/or common areas of the housing accommodation. These are some of the common housing code violations: infestations of mice, rats, cockroaches, bedbugs, etc. Holes in walls and/or ceilings. Broken and/or unsecure windows or doors. Unsecure door frames. Inadequate heating. Broken appliances. Leaking faucets and toilets. Unsanitary or unsafe conditions. Peeling paint, cracked plaster. Black mold. Decayed wood. No utilities, lack of water, gas, and electricity. Step 1. Document the housing code violations and inform your landlord. Report. As soon as you identify a housing code violations in your unit, you must inform your landlord in writing and document the violations. Keep a copy of your request for repairs for your files. Document. Take photographs and/or videos of the housing code violations for your records and to share with your landlord, their lawyer, and/or the court. Make a list of all housing code violations. Make one list of housing code violations in your unit and another list of housing code violations in the common areas of the housing accommodation. Step 2. Preparing to file in court. Identify the proper defendant. The first step to filing an HCC complaint is identifying the proper defendant. The defendant will be either the owner or management company of the housing accommodation. Step 3. Preparing to file in court. Verified complaint to enforce housing code regulations. Tenants may file a verified complaint to enforce housing code regulations, Form CA-116, at the HCC. This complaint is a request that the court enter an order requiring the landlord to repair the tenant's rental unit. Type or clearly print, in black ink, the required information on the complaint. The complaint form, Form CA-116, is available on the DC Superior Court's website, www.dccourts.gov. Tenants must also complete the Housing Code Violations Addendum for your complaint to proceed. When identifying the location, room or common areas, and/or nature of the problem with your rental unit, be as specific as possible. Step 4. Preparing to file in court. Immediate threat to health and safety. If any problem listed in the Housing Code Violation Addendum constitute an emergency and pose an immediate threat to the health and safety of the occupants, tenants must file a motion for a temporary restraining order. Filing a motion for a temporary restraining order brings the urgent issues before the court, usually within a few days. Step 5. Preparing to file in court. Fees and fee waivers. HCC charges a $15 filing fee, but tenants can get the filing fee waived by submitting an application to proceed without prepayment of costs and form a pauperous IFP. Litigants who receive certain public benefits, such as supplemental security income and temporary assistance for needy families, are presumed eligible for IFP status without further inquiry. Step 6. File. Tenant plaintiffs must file the complaint and summons with the Civil Actions Branch Clerk's Office, located at Moultrie Courthouse, Room 5000. 500, Indiana Avenue Northwest, Washington, D.C. 20001. A copy of the complaint and summons must then be served on the landlord defendant. For electronic filing instructions, tenants may contact the Civil Actions Branch Clerk's Office for further instructions. Call 202 879-1133. Step 7. Serve your housing provider. All tenants must serve a copy of the complaint and summons on each defendant. Tenants should try to serve their landlord as soon as possible after filing the complaint and summons with the clerk's office. Tenants must serve their landlord at least 8 days prior to the date of the initial hearing. If the tenant has been granted IFP status, then the clerk of court will serve a copy of the complaint and summons on each defendant by United States Postal Service's certified mail. Step 8. Affidavit of Service. Once the landlord has been served with the summons and complaint, the tenant must complete and file with the Civil Actions Branch Clerk's Office either an affidavit of service or acknowledgement of service at least 3 calendar days prior to the date of the initial hearing, unless the tenant has IFP status. Tenants may request an affidavit of services from the Civil Actions Branch Clerk's Office. Step 9. Initial hearing. The clerk's office will schedule the initial hearing no sooner than 21 days after the date of filing. Appear on your hearing date. The clerk will tell you whether you need to appear in person or by phone. Always remember to bring any evidence, photographs, videos, and/or supporting documents. At the initial hearing to confirm that the necessary repairs are still needed. The Housing Code Inspector assigned to the court will schedule a date for an inspection and issue an inspection report. Step 10. Status hearings. The court's assessment of the existence and abatement of housing code violations is primarily based on the inspector's reports. The court will order the parties to come back for regular status hearings until the violations are all fixed or you dismiss the case. If you have questions or concerns regarding housing codes and housing regulations, contact the District of Columbia Office of the Tenant Advocate. We're located at 2000 14th Street Northwest Suite 300N, Washington, D.C. 20009. Call us at 202-719-6560. Or contact us on the web at www.ota.dc.gov.